already a lot of participants who joined the meeting. Perfect. Thank you very much. And a warm welcome to everyone to this webinar on the International Open Market Consultation of the iProcureSecurity PCP project, which is a European funded project. Just briefly, before we start the recording, our housekeeping rules for today. So the session, as mentioned, will be recorded. Everyone who wishes to not appear in the recording, please shut off your cameras. And I would kindly ask all participants who are not speaking to shut their microphones off as well to avoid noisy background noises. Feel free to pose any questions in the chat. We will have a question session towards the end of the webinar where we can clarify everything. And if you would like to speak, please raise your hand. So the objective of today's webinar are, we would like to introduce our PCP project and the call for tenders to you, explain the PCP mechanism, consult with you our draft specifications for the project, and to facilitate easy partnerships at the end through our advertised pitching session. Our agenda, we will briefly introduce the project and the speakers today, present then the main challenges and the scopes, dive into the PCP project process, and clarify the next steps on the tender process. Then we will move on to answer your questions and close the webinar with our pitching session. Today, so my name is Lucas Seimel. I'm a research consultant at Empirica for 5 years now, and been working in different PCP projects of the past years and other EC-funded studies. And I'm accompanied by a team, Bernard and Eleni, which I would kindly like you to introduce yourself to the audience.
All right, then I will go next. Good morning, everybody. My name is Bernhard Jäger. I'm the research department lead of Synio, and Synio is the coordinator of the project. And yeah, we're really looking forward to tell you more about the history and especially also the motivation of our project within the next hours. And we are very glad to see that we have many participants today in the call, so we can see there is a big interest in what we are doing. So thank you for joining, and yeah, looking forward to present more to you then later on.
Eleni, are you there? Oh, I think we have some technical issues here. There are other persons from CAMEA, the lead procurer in our project, the Center for Security Studies from Greece. And I think we will have other colleagues who can cover her. Otherwise, I will ask if she is there in a few minutes.
She's experiencing a technical problem. She will be with us in a few minutes.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Panagiotta.
Thank you.
Okay, so why do we do this PCP project? We started based on the need to address some challenges and inefficiencies in the current way triage management in the context of mass casualty incidents, MCIs, is performed. And all of us see these common challenges which are related to different aspects of the process, including, for example, the planning and decision-making processing during an MCI. So there should be more clarity, for example, for the head of operations and for the command and control structures and dispatch centers, or better support to those roles by using real-time data like traffic and weather conditions that help actors on the ground make the best decisions on resource allocation, transportation, etc. And within resource allocation at MCIs, we observe often inefficiencies due to missing interoperability with the different systems and interfaces used in the process. So we need rich data both during an event and following it for evaluation and training purposes. And an ICT supported approach will help to free up human resources and enable better and quicker care of casualties. Further improvements are desired in the practice of triage and enabling more flexibility, better communication, and better connectedness of the various actors and systems that are involved in a complex environment that is an MCI. Triage management is key for mitigating the effects of mass casualty incidents. A few seconds and inefficient process can result in the loss of lives, which has to be avoided at all cost. So therefore, in the iProcureSecurity project, we are focusing on the whole process, from when an incident occurs up to handover processes of casualties to treatment centers or hospitals. And during that time, we are looking for efficient use of resources like personnel, equipment involved in triage casualties according to their needs. And we know that this is an important topic because the number of natural and man-made disasters is increasing, as we all know, and there are other risks that make incidents of that nature unavoidable. However, they should be managed as best as possible, and therefore we are happy to have so many participants here today, which hold pieces of the big puzzle that will help us to improve our triage management. And therefore, the overall goal of the project is to improve triage scenarios through a flexible triage management system. For that, we are offering 6.7 million euros for R&D services to address this. We, that is a consortium of partners, night procurers from 5 different countries, which are collectively responsible for the pre-hospital care of over 40 million people in Europe. We work together with colleagues from Spain, Austria, Italy, Greece, Turkey, and Germany. And the project is supported by 3 additional organizations who facilitate a smooth running of the pre-commercial procurement process. And the coordinator, as Bernd already mentioned, is Sinjo from Austria. And in addition, we are being advised by many international emergency medical services experts and the iProcureSecurity network, which you can also access through the project website. And on that occasion, I would like to give the word back to Bernhard to present a brief word on Sinjo.
Sure, thank you very much. As said, Sinjo is the coordinator of the iProcureSecurity PCP project. We are a highly dynamic company focusing on research, innovation, technology, and we're located in Vienna, Austria. We have a long-term history in coordinating and supporting international projects in various domains, from health, mobility, sustainability, education, and we have a very strong focus also on safety and security. Yeah, we have a very diverse team, so we are not just kind of project managers, we also have in-house researchers, we have in-house developers and in-house designers, so kind of covering the whole circle of that is needed within a typical European project. And besides that, I also want to mention we've also coordinated the previous project, iProcureSecurity CSA, which was the foundation for the PCP project, where we already identified the main needs and finally also identified the triage management as most relevant and highly important based on the challenges that we will hear a little bit later on, and therefore also having already a lot of insights on EMS based also on the previous projects that we have done in this domain.
Perfect, thank you, Bernhard. Eleni, are you have you joined in the meantime?
Yes, Lucas, I'm here. Hello.
Hello. Could you kindly drop a few words on Chimera?
Yes, of course. Thank you. Thank you all. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our OMC event. So, CHIMEA, the Center for Security Studies, is a center, research center belonging to the Hellenic Ministry of Citizen Protection, operating as a think tank of innovation and technology in the area of national security policies, cyber and physical, of course, and civil protection. CHIMEA's main objectives, according to its statutes and the law governing its operation, is scientific and technical support for the technological transformation of the MCP services and consultation, research and development on modern operational security solutions, training of the operational services of the MCP and of other public and private bodies related to security and civil protection. CHIMEA is being involved and acting in several sectors, such as border security, critical infrastructure protection, national strategy studies, fight against crime and terrorism, cybersecurity and cybercrime, and is involved in several international synergies. As of the innovation procurement projects, we've been involved in several PCP projects as lead procurer, namely iProcureSecurity, Prevent PCP, Shuttle PCP, Evisa, and Civil Next.
Perfect. Thank you very much,
you.
Eleni. And last but not least, Empirica. We are a Bonn-based research consultancy bureau since 1988 and specialized on innovation processes and the management of EU-funded projects. Our business sectors involve e-health, smart energy, rural, active and healthy aging, e-care and e-skills, research, innovation, and inclusive society. In those sectors, we have previously managed and conducted 200 plus research and innovation projects, support actions and studies, broadly with the aim of assessing and analyzing the impact of digital transformation of the health and care sector and society. We answer political, strategic, clinical, and socioeconomic questions and hold expertise in these areas. And previously, we conducted PCPs on diabetes, hypertension, and stroke, assessed the effectiveness and use of digital solutions in the civil protection domain, and already participated in European coordination exercises for emergency medical teams and urban search and rescue, called MODEX. So to introduce to the next session and briefly explain the process of a PCP. So this is a pre-commercial procurement of research and development services, which are not yet market ready. There will be different phases in which suppliers draft a solution design, build prototypes, and test their advanced prototype solutions. And there will always be multiple competing supplier consortia in each phase. And to avoid a lock-in, at least 2 solutions will be piloted in the last phase of the PCP. With that, I would like to hand over to Bernhard, who will now introduce you to our specifications.
Perfect. Thank you very much. You can, I think, already, go to the next slide. Perfect. So I have the honor in the name of the consortium and especially of our procurement partners to give you an overview on what we are actually looking for. So as Lucas has mentioned in the PCP, the idea is that the consortium comes up with the main needs, the challenges, and let's say the main requirements that have to be solved. And we're looking for partners in the industry who are able to solve these problems for us in one solution. So therefore, I quickly want to share about what are the main needs that are behind these challenges. And here we're talking about we have an big event like, for instance, an earthquake or a plane crash, which you can imagine, which is very chaotic. And in this chaotic situation, there are certain aspects which are of highest priority, which means it is important that you very quickly can assess the situation on site, which means that you understand how many casualties are on site, which kind of status does these casualties have, so on their actual health status, where they are located, and so on. So it's important to have a quick overview on the situation. That's also important for a better and quicker planning. So it's also important with this overview to arrange the different operating forces on the ground and also ensure that everybody is aware of the situation. Reducing reaction time to change situations. Of course, time is an extremely scarce resource in such a situation, and which means the quicker that you can react also to changes. We're talking about very highly dynamic events, which quickly might change, and which also means also the safety for the EMS staff, which is working on the ground, could be endangered, and also this can change rather quickly. So information also on the situation around is of highest importance. In general, the availability of data that helps to make better decision, and here we're talking about very different kinds of data, as we will hear a little bit later. We are also talking about the better tagging of casualties. When we're talking about tagging, we mainly mean that one casualty gets tagged with the most important information during the triage. So when you go through the triage, the casualty is kind of assessed, so his health status is assessed, and certain data is noted down, and this data has to be attached also to the casualty and ensure that this data travels with the casualty from the first triage until he or she finally is handed over then to a hospital, so during the full life cycle. Interoperability is a huge issue. Because we have in such big events, there are different forces which are working on the ground, which ideally should work in concert. So this is, as you can imagine, in a chaotic situation, not very easy. So having also systems that better work together is important. Better distribution of resources at the scene. So also this is of relevance, that the materials that are provided, that you have a good overview on these resources and that you can include them in the best way. The increase in rapid transportation of the casualties, of course, it's important after the first assessment, then transport the casualties to the hospitals in the most efficient way, and also that you have the right distributions of casualties to avoid, for instance, overcrowded hospitals. Next slide, please. So the innovative approach that we're actually looking for is to make the EMS system interoperable and travel with the casualty. I said the data on the casualty should be always also visible and travel with the casualty from the beginning of the assessment until the very end. So when he's then handed over to the ambulance and then from the ambulance to the hospital. It's important that the status of the casualty is very visible. So when we're talking about status, we typically talk, for instance, about the color code. So there's a color coding for instance, which is green, yellow, red, and black. And the status, of course, it's important that you always can recognize it, even if it's dark, if it's within smoke, if, for instance, if this device gets dirty, it's important that this is clearly visible because this is kind of a main basic information. It's also very important to allow the data to transfer to the right EMS decision makers on site. Not everybody needs every information, but there are different roles on site which have to be aware about certain information to make the right decisions. So also this is quite important. What's also important is to save the data for further analysis. This is something which at the moment is very hard, especially afterwards, to assess and evaluate what was happened in these events. And also here, the system that the procurers are looking for should be able to kind of have an overview on the data that is collected. It should help during the handover process. So also from the site to the ambulance and from the ambulance to the hospitals to ensure the data is handed over quickly and everybody is aware about the status of the casualties and the treatment of the casualties that was already performed. And also extremely important, as mentioned before, overseeing the situation. So the solution that the procurers are looking for should allow them to have a better overview to see about the number of casualties, the location, the statuses, and so on in at one site and not having a lot of paperwork with it. So that's also the idea why we want to bring at the moment in many cases and in many countries a paper-based system to a digital system which can also provide all these advantages. Next slide, please. Yeah. Our strongest focus is on the on-site management. Not sure if you can see it well in the image below, but we're talking about the upper left part with the light blue background. So we're talking about really mainly what is happening on site with having different roles that are working on site and that have to work in concert and really working good together. And therefore, that's let's say our main focus. What is important though is to have the right links and good connections and interfaces to other most important players, which is the EMCC, for instance. So also the dispatch center where a lot of decisions are taken. So here we want to have a strong interaction and exchange of data. And depending, and here we also differ a bit from country to country, there might be also further players to be involved. And the idea for the system that the procurers are looking for is not to have a locked-in situation, but especially provide also APIs to, let's say, to the outside world. For instance, also that would be possible at the later stage also, for instance, that other first responders could be offered data and could retrieve data through the system. What else do we have? Yeah, it's the solutions are expected to provide the necessary devices that work together to manage the triage process. So easily saying we're looking for a solution which on the one hand side allows to tag each of the casualty with some kind of badge or whatever you can think of. And the other part is also which kind of sends data to a central information hub. We'll see this a bit later in the use cases, but the idea is kind of to have these two main components in the system. Good, I think we can go on to the next slide. On the requirements, so during the last month, we really worked a lot with our procurers to in detail go through their, let's say, the current processes, so how they are currently perform triage management, and to see and to retrieve from it where a new digital system would be able to better support them and improve the quality of the services, make their life easier, make them quicker, and support them in every way they can think of. So out of this, we generated already quite a long list of requirements. These can also be found in the scope documents that we will then later on also show you where it's linked. And these requirements, so to say, are the baseline on what we're looking for a new innovative system should be able to do. So first of all, it's important that the system will be able to differentiate different roles in the system. So the casualties, the different type of EMS practitioners that are working. You also have to consider when we're talking about the EMS systems in different countries, we also have slight differences from country to country. So one main importance also, I think, which is kind of horizontal for many parts is whatever system is suggested, it should be highly flexible and customizable, easily customizable, to be exactly adapted towards the particular procurers. It's important that the system displays the casualties at one view, so that to see kind of how many casualties have been tagged or registered, to see in which status of the triage they are currently. Are they initially triaged or kind of in the retriage, or are they already on the way to the hospital, for instance, so that you have a full overview on where is the particular casualty at the moment. It should also allow to identify the casualties to ensure that you can have one casualty with one clear ID, and eventually also have additional information included, like a photo or connection to an existing AHR, for instance. The system should provide an innovative device. We call it tech. I said the tech is always something that is directly attached to the particular casualty, and where easily you can have two things. One thing is to have certain information displayed directly on the tech so that it's visible without the need for any additional system. Such as, for instance, the status and the ID of the casualty. However, it should also allow to connect further data and kind of to enter further data into the connected system, which means that you can have an appropriate interface where, for instance, you can include further information on other important, how to say, treatments and the health status of the victim. Next one. Decision support. I said the overall system should allow also to quickly add new users to the system. As you can imagine, in mass casualty incidents, there, let's say, a lot of different forces are working together, which means you have to quickly also be able to assign roles and also set preferences in the system. One thing this we also will hear a little bit later is language. Of course, we have different languages across the countries, and it should be possible to easily adapt this towards the particular procurer. The system should allow a comprehensive way of displaying the whole picture, which is what we mean the given a full overview on the event itself, which means that you eventually have something like a map where you can highlight certain areas. For instance, where is the triage tent, where is the transport zone, and so on, so that you have also a visual representation of it, and which you also easily can share and coordinate then with others. Therefore, kind of these kind of map views would be quite helpful. In addition, in general, visualization is key. So you want to have an overview on the casualties, on the resources, and things like this. So therefore, it should be a system that works very intuitively and is also able to kind of provide data in a way that you can quickly grasp it, even you are in a very chaotic and partially eventually also dangerous environment. It also should allow to provide checklists and so to better, let's say, provide better guidance for staff that is working on the field, giving them an overview on tasks that have to be performed, also where they can check off things which have already been done, or also get reminders at certain stages to perform important tasks and to be reminded for that. And to provide complementary information also about the surroundings to, for instance, if weather conditions change quickly, they can be very important. Or that you also have inputs on traffic conditions, which often is quite relevant, because if you have traffic jams on the route to the hospitals, this can have a big influence. So this is also something where ideally the system can already flag up where issues might come up, and ideally also provide further inputs and suggestions maybe how to do it. One important thing I want to mention here, when we're talking about decision support, it really means a system that is not taking over decisions, but a system which is providing information to take better decisions. So it's very clear that final decisions are always taken by an human being and a professional that is working there on the ground. So therefore, decision support really means providing the right information at the right time to take proper decisions by the staff working in the field. Next one, please. Exactly. So we also want to have a system which provides decision support based on available data in the system, which means, for instance, what is quite important is to have an understanding which kind of infrastructure is around, which means which hospitals are around, eventually also show the status, if the data is available, of these hospitals, for instance, on free ICU beds, for hospitals which are specialized in for a specific treatment, for instance, for burns, and also where you have an overview on available types of transportation, like land, air, helicopters, for instance, in certain aspects are of quite importance. And also that you have an overview on the number of vehicles and the number of personnel which is around. Plus also the required logistics resources, so any supplies, if especially in big events, if new supplies are needed, that also this can be kind of at least overlooked in the system and can be flagged up if there are shortcomings on supplies. Important is also the support of the staff management. I said to see and to understand, in, for instance, within check-in, check-out system, which staff is on site, and also to support the staff with interactive checklists so that they see where they are, what has been done, and that they also can communicate easily through the system and be aware of what has happened and what has been achieved already. For instance, also with these checklists, would be good to have reminders for staff at certain points to perform particular activities, and yeah, also to have here in a situation which is also highly dynamic, that you can react quickly and also support staff on the ground in the best way. Next one, please. Improve coordination and communication among the different EMS actors. So the procurer is looking for a system that is able to keep track of all actions, and especially on the casualty, this is of highest importance, so that you really know not just the kind of initial data that is collected on the casualty's health status, but also that you have an overview on the treatments that have been done, and ensure this data always can travel with the victim. And of course, that it's very clear that you have one ID for one victim, so also that there are not any issues with unclarity on kind of which data is related to which casualty. Share live information about red danger zones, which means if situation on the ground changes and danger zones, for instance, where there is also danger for the EMS staff actually working on. There, of course, it's really important that you quickly can communicate and make people aware working in this area if the situation is changing. Storing and exchanging images. Also, this can be of relevance so that you can quickly share, for instance, also pictures on the scene, which also allows then others who work remotely also to make on their end better decisions. Ensure that all messages are stored and in case of block communication are labeled clearly. So that's quite important because our EMS procurers often are also working in areas where you could have an issue with the network. So which means we also have to ensure that finally the system works at least that well how the current system works if there is no network connection. So that is, of course, also important to be considered. Reduced handover times between ambulance transport and hospitals. Also here, it's a matter of exchanging information. Display available infrastructure set in the surroundings would be of importance. If possible, also to support the alert of hospitals on upcoming casualties and which kind of treatment might be needed. And also, the system should be able on sending relevant information, including clinical data to the hospitals, provided that this opportunity is given for the particular hospital. So here we are mainly thinking about, I would say, standardized APIs to ensure that we have proper data endpoints in which data can be provided to other potentially available users of this data. For instance, this could be also hospitals. Next one, please. Insights for quality assurance and training measures. This is actually a quite important topic also at the moment because in the current paper-based systems, it's quite complicated and very time-consuming to put together all of the relevant data after an event took place. So ideally, the provided systems will be able automatically to provide relevant information to after an event took place, to evaluate it, to provide the number of casualties, the status, number of vehicles, resources, EMS staff involved, used equipment, reaction times, collaboration with other first responders, internal, external communication. So to have main data that can be analyzed quickly and also can provide it quickly so that you really can do a quick and accurate evaluation afterwards and learn from it, and that you can also make kind of changes in the organization or changes in trainings or updates in trainings to do this without, let's say, taking a lot of time from the EMS personnel to gather this information. So this is something that's also quite important, and also interesting would be to retrieve real data from past mass casualty incidents for simulation purposes. So, for instance, that you can collect data that could be later on then used in other systems, for instance, for augmented reality enabled trainings. Interoperability with existing systems. Interoperability in general is a huge topic in this case, and especially also in the EMS domain. So therefore, it will be important to use a harmonized terminology. the connection with existing APIs and systems of the procurers will play a role. Here we will provide then detailed information also in the tender documents, so how the legacy systems look like and what is expected towards these connections. It's also foreseen to enable sharing of data with other first responders like police and rescue. And there, as mentioned, we're thinking about then standardized APIs to ensure that also the system can grow over time, as well as sharing of clinical data collected for on-site and for the hospitals. As I said here, interoperability, this is not I would say an easy topic. However, we also see here the work that we're doing for the triage management in a bigger context, which means if we can establish a system here which is able to provide kind of good and clear and standardized data endpoints, that would mean also further systems later on can benefit from it and can make use of these APIs and also lead towards an harmonization and a better interoperability of systems in this domain. And here definitely there's still a lot of work to do, but I think also one very important point for our project to deliver something that will live on and that will be also help hopefully other systems to benefit from it. Next one. Operational during the PCP, as said, we have procurers in different countries, which means language is important. We're talking about at the moment English, Spanish, German, Italian, Greek, and Turkish, which kind of where the system should be able to switch between these languages. We asking for developing prototypes in 2 iterations, so in phase 2, and test them with the end users with at least 10 persons per pilot. We'll fully develop the system and then test them extensively with the end users. It's foreseen to do this as part of national, international simulation events, but this will have to be agreed then for phase 3 finally. And yeah, the suppliers also have to ensure that all equipment necessary for the solution to work is made available during the simulation events. So to ensure that there, for instance, are enough mobile devices or techs that can be used for the actual realistic testing. And finally, also to collect data in collaboration with the procurers and to evaluate it and further improve the solution's effectiveness. And finally, there, of course, as you can imagine, we're talking about also data sources and also sensitive data. Also there, of course, are particular requirements that will have to be considered regarding privacy, security, connectivity, usability, and also performance issues will play a role. All of these in detail you will be able to find in the final tender documents that most likely will be provided then in May. However, you already can get a first insight on it if you take a look at our scope document, which is also linked in the survey that we'll show you in a few minutes if you have not recognized it already. Also there you get some initial information. This will be further extended and further then include also in the tender documents. Next one, please. As we have seen through the last minutes, we're talking about a quite complex solution that we are looking for. And therefore, we also try to provide as much as relevant context for the suppliers that want to participate in the form of use cases and process models, which means we try to explain at the, let's say, highest level on what we are expecting besides the requirements, which are also prioritized, but we will be also provide you with an overview on kind of which elements have higher or lower importance to the particular procurers. We'll also give you further insights on how does actually processes look like and how they are embedded in the particular use cases. So I think based on this, suppliers should be able to have a good understanding on what kind of different use cases should be covered and have enough context information to ensure they can come up with a, let's say, a reasonable bid, especially in the first phase of the tender. Yeah, I will not go through in detail on the use cases because I think I'm probably already a bit over time. But I think what I finally want to outline is, again, I said we're looking for a solution which is bringing actually the procurers, which are in many cases working in a paper-based domain, to the digital world and to have all advantages of this digital world, while considering that, of course, even if there is no network, which is of course not easy, still the system is working adequately, or at least can be used in an adequate way to ensure that the casualties can be treated in the best and most reasonable way. Good. I think this was it so far from my side. Lucas?
Yes, thank you very much, Bernard, for that spotlight on the requirements and the use cases. And next, I would like to hand over to Eleni, who will make a deep dive into the PCP phases and the tender process.
Thank you, Lucas. The presentation will, as Lucas said, will dive into iProcureSecurity PCP phases and tender process. As you all know, and as my colleagues have already mentioned, iProcureSecurity is an innovation procurement project. And before diving into our PCP implementation, I would like just to give you a brief idea on what is innovation procurement. So an explicit and very detailed definition of what is innovation procurement is included in the Commission Notice of 2021, where innovation procurement refers to any procurement that has one or both of the following aspects: either buying the process of innovation, research and development services with partial outcomes, and or buying the outcomes of innovation. Inter alia, there are two complementary types of innovation procurement, PCP and PPIs. Our project is a PCP, and PCP is the procurement of R&D services to develop pioneering innovative solutions before they are commercially available, whereas PPI happens when the public sector uses its purchasing power in order to act as an early adopter of innovative solutions which are not yet available on large-scale commercial basis. What I would like to mention and highlight is that our project is a PCP. However, there's no guarantee that PPI will follow, because this is something that is going to be decided at a later stage, if some of the procurers or if all procurers are interested in. Coming back to innovation procurement can be and is actually used as a tool to deliver solutions to economic and societal challenges in many fields, such as healthcare, climate change, energy efficiency, transport, and mobility. Slide, please. The PCP tool is a win-win practice for everyone. It's a win-win practice for taxpayers, procurers, and suppliers. Coming to the benefits for taxpayers, taxpayers can take advantage and have access to better public services, more innovative and globally competitive society. Of course, attractive for foreign investment, and it's important that it can give benefits for increased employment demand. In the procurer's side, from the procurer's side, benefits are also important and many, such as the solutions are steered to public sector needs, are exactly they are covering the identified needs as identified and specified by the procurers. We of course have increased the quality of services, a deep knowledge about pros and cons of alternative solutions, and as always the chance to get to select the best option, the best solution that has been developed. And coming to the benefits of for the supply side, suppliers and economic operators, they have the opportunity to gain leadership in a sector or to enter in new markets. They do retain IPRs ownerships, which is something very important. I will give you more details later on, and they have the chance to test under real world conditions. And of course, there is always a chance to shorten time to market for innovative products and services. Next slide, please. So overall, a PCP, and concretely our PCP is divided into phases, into 4 phases. With phase 0, starting with the specification and preparation stage, and adding to the publication of a call of tenders. During phase 0, we have the identification or definition actually of procurers' needs. The requirements and use cases are being collected and structured. National and international suppliers for EMS solutions are contacted and invited to OMC sessions as this one, and in order to discuss the funding opportunities and to receive feedback on the list of requirements. Then, during the next phase, we will launch the call for tenders. Tenders will be received, assessed, and assessed and evaluated according to clear and explicit selection criteria. And tenderers will be selected in order to participate in the first phase, phase 1, which is going to last for 4 months. It's phase 1 where we will have the solution design. Followed by phase 2, when we will have the prototype development, and finally phase 3, where the testing pilot system will be when the pilot systems will be tested. Next, please. So more in particular for phase 1. As we said before, it's the solution design phase, is where we are expecting to have the concept design, solution architecture, and technical specifications based on the requirements that will be clearly set, use cases, and process models. We are expecting to award 6 suppliers. Suppliers will be awarded the framework agreement and the phase 1 contract. And the expected output is a detailed report describing the solution and a detailed plan for the prototyping and testing activities in the coming phases, in phases 2 and phase 3. Phase 1 is expected to last for 4 months. The maximum budget foreseen is of 677,000 euros, with maximum budget per contractor being of 112 euros. During the evaluation phase, offers will be ranked accordingly to quality price ratio, and contracts will be awarded until the remaining budget for that phase is sufficient to contract the next best tender. So it may be a case where we won't have 6 suppliers, we will have more suppliers, depending always from the budget. Next slide, please. Well, coming to phase 2, the next phase is the phase where we will have the development of prototype systems into iterations. 4 suppliers are expected to be awarded. Not suppliers that are coming from phase 1 that will have satisfactory and successfully complete phase 2 will be eligible to submit a tender and to be awarded a contract in phase 2. The expected output in phase 2 are, of course, the first version of the prototype specification and the second version with the prototype demonstration. We are also expecting to have the plan for development of a limited volume of solutions for field testing and an updated cost benefits forecast, including a preliminary business plan. This phase is expected to last for 8 months with a maximum total budget of 2,370,000 euros and maximum budget per contractor of around 600 euros. Again, as in the previous phase, the offers will be ranked according to the same quality price ratio, and the contracts are awarded until the remaining budget for this specific phase is sufficient to contract the next best tender. Next slide, please. And then the final phase, phase 3, when we will have the final development and testing of a limited volume of services in real-world conditions. There we expect to award 2 suppliers and the outputs of this phase, of the last phase, is the implementation in 5 testing sites, an overall assessment and success verification, and finally an updated cost benefits forecast, including a preliminary business plan for the commercialization of the solution beyond the PCP project. The last phase will have a duration of 8 months and a maximum budget of 3,007,025 euros. Whereas per contractor, the maximum budget is foreseen to be 1,862,000 euros. Again, the offers will be ranked according to the same ratio, quality price, and contracts will be awarded until the remaining budget for that phase is insufficient. Next slide, please. Coming to the submission of tenders, the overall process will be done, is expecting to be done electronically, meaning that potential interested tenderers will have the chance to submit their offer via a dedicated portal. Tenderers are expected to submit actually three envelopes, 3 different sections. One is going to be the administrative section. The second one is the technical one with the actual technical offer. And the third one will be the financial section where we will have the financial offers. The whole period that economic operators will have will be able to submit their offers will be of around 5 months. from the stage when our call for tenders will be published until the deadline for submitting the tender. As Bernard said before, the official language of the whole process, the PCP process, is in English. So all the documentation requested and all communication will be in English. Next slide, please. In terms of the eligibility and evaluation criteria, I would like to mention and I would like to highlight, first of all, that eligibility and evaluation criteria are being now drafted. We are going to finalize them and include them in the call for tenders. But in any case, there are several, let's say, principles that in any case govern our call for tenders. First of all, the process will be open to all type of operators, companies or other type of legal entities, regardless their size or governance structure. We are going to accept. So eligible are either single or joint tenders. The participation in the OMC events and in this current event as well is on voluntary basis, meaning that it's not a precondition for participating in the call for tenders. Moreover, the exclusion, selection, and compliance criteria, which, as I said before, are still being developed, will be reflected and captured in the call for tenders. And as I mentioned before, since the ratio will be price quality, we will give, of course, focus on quality, and quality criteria will be favored. Next slide, please. Here you can see an example of the quality price ratio that probably will be used. A weight of 80-20 is given to quality and price respectively. And here you can see how we are going to score the tender. As we said before, during the presentation of each phase, ranked tenders are funded until the phase budget is not sufficient to fund the next best tender. Next slide, please. After having completed the evaluation and deciding whether which tenders are eligible and are assessed to sign a framework agreement and a contract, we have the contracting stage, which is during which the lead procurer, we, SKMEA, and the successful tenderer will sign the framework agreement covering the whole PCP, phases, all the PCP phases, and then we will sign also the specific contracts which will be valid for each phase. So there will be one framework agreement covering the whole PCP and specific contracts for phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 respectively. After having signed the legal documents, we will have the monitoring stage where during each phase, contract implementation will be monitored periodically and reviewed against the expected outcomes, which will be clearly defined in the call for tenders. The outcomes being milestones, deliverables, and output or results for each phase. At the end of each phase, contractors are going to be assessed on whether they have satisfactory and successfully completed the respective phase. And by saying satisfactory completion, we mean the completion of milestones and deliverables in order to pay the tenders for their respective services. In parallel, following the satisfactory completion, we will assess whether tenders have successfully completed the respective phase in order for them to be eligible to pass and submit a tender for the next phase. So satisfactory completion is a requirement for payment, whereas successful completion is a requirement for passing from one phase to the next one. Next, please. Yes, and here we have intellectual property rights. It's an aspect that I would like to highlight, since in PCPs and of course in our PCP as well, suppliers have keep the ownership of the IPRs. Of the APRs that are attached to the results generated during the PCP implementation. Therefore, a financial compensation is going to be calculated in the financial section of the tender, meaning that with their financial offer, tenderers are expected to vote a price, the actual price, and besides the actual price, they are going to be requested to vote the market price, the virtual price, the price that actually includes IPRs. So we are going to ask for two prices, the one including IPRs and the other excluding IPRs. What I would like to point out is that the price that is going to be taken into account for scoring the tenders and therefore ranking the tenders is going to be the actual price. Next slide, please. Yeah. And finally, just to give you a brief overview on the VAT status regime, since the lead procurer is CHEMEA, and the procurement budget is centralized, the VAT regime of Greece is going to be applied. CHEMEA is most probably will be entitled to a deduction for input VAT. Therefore, suppliers from Greece, and when we say suppliers, we mean that in case of a joint tender, the consortium's leader, the coordinator, in that case, for suppliers from Greece, the national VAT procedures will apply. For suppliers from EU member states, they will have they will be able to invoice without VAT using the reverse charge procedure. CHEMEA's full data and VAT number will be included in the invoice, and supplier's VAT number must, of course, appear. And in case there will be suppliers from third countries, VAT is going to be calculated and reported by CHEMEA. If the supplier upon import is obliged to report VAT according to the rules of the home country, and the invoice contains VAT, then the VAT is not deductible in Greece. Instead, VAT amount is to be considered as a cost of the service. And giving you an example of how to calculate the whole offer and VAT included or not. So tenders to calculate if their net amount plus VAT is still under or equal to the ceiling amount and not higher. For example, in case that the budget procure is 124K, suppliers VAT is 24%, which is the VAT that applies in Greece. And the maximum value of the service without VAT is going to be 100K. So the offer will be depend on the whether VAT is or not included. I think that goes from my side. Of course, we are at your disposal for any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eleni, for that interesting deep dive into the tender process. And as we are slightly over time by 3 minutes, I will keep the next part short before we get into the questions and answer section. So to recap our next steps, and by recapping why an open market consultation at all, our idea and the aim of this OMC was to bring your market perspective into our procurement process. It helps us, or it helps the procurers to prepare an effective pro-innovation tendering approach, and your input enables, and we would like to enable you as the suppliers to work in advance to prepare tenders and competitive offers. So there have been a lot of OMC activities taking place over the last 2 months. There were 6 local OMCs organized by each procurer in local language. We have today's international event, and we would like to also promote on this account the OMC questionnaire, where we ask you, with your market perspective, are our requirements realistic? Are they complete? Do we miss on something that is very important to the EMS sector? So where you have the chance to provide your direct input for the benefit of the whole PCP process. There will be a matchmaking platform that is already up and running, and the call for tenders is expected to be launched in May. Here you can find the link to our OMC survey, and attached to the survey is a PDF document, our scope document, detailing all the requirements and more, which were presented by Bernhard in a PDF. And also this slide deck and the recordings will be available on our PCP project website, so you will have the chance to consult the presentation, the scope document, and all the links later on. At this stage, I would like to make some advertisement for the PCP matchmaking platform designed for suppliers. Suppliers can register there on that platform, create a profile, and input and provide inputs on their solutions that they have ready, or insert information for which kind of partners, for which kind of additional expertise are you looking for. And on that matchmaking platform, other suppliers can look up those information, and our hope and the idea was to enable and ease the creation of consortia for this tender. Attached to after the questions and answer section, we will continue with the pitching session. Last but not least, a brief overview of our roadmap. So we are currently finishing the OMC phase in April, and prepare the call for tender, which is expected to be launched in May 2020. And then the evaluation of all tenders is expected to be conducted in September this year, which means that phase 1 will start late September, beginning of October perhaps. So with that being said, I would like to move on to the Q&A session. I'm opening my chat for the moment. and the idea was to go through all questions that have been posted in the chat, and you have the chance to raise your hand and directly ask your questions now. And I would like to ask my colleagues to mute or unmute the respective audiences. So any questions from your side now?
Lucas, we have one question in the Q&A section, which I read. The call for tender is expected between May and August, but what is the most probably date?
So the most probable date for the launch of the call for tenders is May, towards the end of May at this stage. Other questions? Questions can also be posted in the chat. If not, I mean, I would wait a minute. If not, we will continue with the pitching session early as planned.
Sorry, just a quick note about the questions again. If you have any questions you would like to ask, also consider that we have a specific section on the website on the frequently asked questions, which we will be posting on the chat as well. So if you want to double check if you had doubts or open issues, you can also double check the section, and your questions will be then further answered in the frequently asked section on the website.
Yes, this is absolutely right. I saw two questions in the chat. What is the deadline to submit the OMC questionnaire? So there is not a real deadline, but we would appreciate your input as soon as possible. But hopefully latest then perhaps in 2 weeks. So within 2 weeks, so that we have time to evaluate and assess the questionnaires and derive our conclusions in order to then finalize the call for tenders. So as soon as possible would be highly appreciated. Also, the question was, will there be any evaluation criteria which favors European consortia? From my head, I'm not quite sure if we have something on that, Bernhard, or perhaps Strahil, if you know something on that.
Sorry, can you repeat? I didn't ask the question, sorry.
Will there be any evaluation criteria which favor European consortia?
I think this is probably something for Eleni, but to my understanding, all participants are treated equally.
Yes, as we said before, the participation will be open to all tenders, to all interested economic operators. There will be a condition on their place of establishment, meaning that they have to be established either in a EU member state or in a Horizon 2020 associated country. So this being the case, there will be no, let's say, selection criteria of that. This will be a eligibility criterion. Moreover, in the selection criteria, there will be a condition where the place of performance will have to be at least 50% in a EU or Horizon 2020 associated country. And when we say the place of performance, is the place where the R&D activities are going to take place.
Okay, perfect. I hope that has answered the question. We will also, as Serena mentioned, note down all the questions and publish them later on the website. Another question posted in the chat was, are you looking for one tool to solve all issues or multiple interlinked tools? So I would give it a first chance. I mean, the PCP solution that should be that will be developed in this project should be one tool environment which can consist of hardware components and software components. But in the end, it should address as much of the requirements as possible, as many of the requirements as possible. We know that addressing all requirements by 100% equally will be very hard and perhaps not possible, but the evaluation will also consider this, and addressing as many requirements as possible is key in this regard. If none of my colleagues wants to add to that.
Yeah, I think you mentioned it quite well. I think we're looking for one solution. However, of course, this solution can consist of particular tools, but the idea is that they really then so well combined and implemented that it feels like one solution and one tool. So it's a collection of very different tools probably will not fit with what the procurers are looking for.
Okay, next one from the chat was, which will be the dynamics of the matchmaking? The question, I find it currently hard to understand what is exactly meant by that, dynamics of the matchmaking. Perhaps the person who posted this chat can quickly unmute or perhaps detail.
Hi, yes, to know if it will be like a platform where we will be registering our companies, so we can contact other companies, or there will be like an event or any kind of tool that you are going to provide in order to find partnerships, in order to, we want to conform a consortium in order to the tender. That is what is the general idea of you have about the matchmaking.
Okay, thanks very much. I think that question, Bernhard, is for you.
Yep. You will be able to find in the chat the link to our platform, which is called innovationprocurement.com. And the idea is, on the one hand side, that suppliers which are interested in the tender sign up on the platform, provide information on their organization. And if you would click on the iProcureSecurity PCP tender, you will also have the opportunity to offer particular expertise. So for instance, if you, I don't know, let's say you're very good in machine learning, so to say, and have a relation to EMS already, then you could include there a note, hey, we could offer this and this expertise. Or you could also go the other way and say, hey, we want to build a consortium. We have this and this expertise, but we're looking for a partner who would be able to do X, Y, Z. So this is the idea of our matchmaking. So there will be no individual events or something like this. Everything should happen directly over this innovationprocurement.com platform. And also, if there are particular questions, you always can contact us, so you can also use the contact information provided on the platform, so we can also support you on that. But ideally, the platform is, so to say, the main source of information on other interested suppliers, and also use the features in there to raise awareness on yourself if you're looking for other partners for your consortium, or also show them what you could offer to them for others which are also looking for particular expertise.
Perfect, thanks.
Very well.
Okay, perfect. Can non-profit companies or non-profit organizations take part? Yes, all types of organizations can take part in the tender and be part of a consortia. So participation will be open to all, on equal terms, to all types of operators from any country, regardless of size, geographic location, or governance structure. Another question was which TRL is expected for the final solution at the end of the project. So as phase 3 is called original development of limited volume of first test products, this corresponds to TRL level around 7 to 9. So most PCP projects end without solutions that are tested extensively. And in the case of our project, due to the nature of the topics, this can only be done through simulations. And the solutions are then close to the market or even already available on the market at the end of the project. So TRL level 7 to 9. And one question was, if someone comes up with a working tool in the meantime, will you still finish the project? Eleni, Bernhard?
From my understanding, definitely yes. But as you've seen, we're talking about a quite complex piece of technology, so to say, that we're looking for, and a quite complex solution. We have screened the market, and we've seen there are solutions which partially cover things that we're looking for, but nothing in a way that fully covers everything. So I would say, frankly speaking, I would really wonder if this would come up within the next 1.5 years. Plus, the idea is also, and I think this has to be also outlined quite well. We're also looking for new ideas. So it's not kind of that we give, let's say, one perfect handbook to the suppliers and say, build that. We want that the suppliers come up with their ideas, with their innovative ideas on how these problems that we provide to you, how these can be solved in the most reasonable way. And we know from experience, and also expect that this will be in this case, that we will receive quite some very new ideas how to solve these issues. And this is why we're doing it. So therefore, I think, and this is also why not only one solution will be picked, but we're picking several solutions, and we want to test different kind of ideas and also see which one works best. So therefore, I would very clearly say yes, the project would be fully finished also in case a solution would come up that covers partially what we're doing here. But Eleni, maybe you want also to say something about it.
No, nothing more to add. I fully agree. Actually, we know our need. We know which is our need, but we actually do not know which is exactly the solution that covers and corresponds to our need. Therefore, as Bernhard already said, we are expecting any solution that may cover our need, and we really looking forward for this. And of course, any idea in the first phase, when we have also the design, the solution design, any idea is more than welcome.
And I would like to add on that. So we hope to attract the organizations active in the EMS area and which are working on solutions, and give them the opportunity and funding to help us addressing the needs of the procurers. So please do use the opportunity if you already have advanced or even market-ready solutions, because even if someone comes up with the idea in parallel, we still need this idea to be integrated with the systems in the procurers' environments. So work there is in any case required, and the project will be carried out until its end with the best offer selected. Yes. The slides will be sent after the meeting, and also the recording will be published online. Yes. So we would still have 7 minutes for other questions. If that is not the case, you can still post questions until the meeting is closed, and we will note them down, take them with us, answer them within the consortium, and then later publish the answers to all those questions of today's meeting in the FAQ section of the project website anyways. Okay, so then I would suggest we move on to the next section, which is the supplier pitching session. And the aim is to facilitate networking among potential partners, which are the suppliers present to this meeting, to ease consortium building through pitch presentations of your organization's capabilities and capacities, and then ultimately to lower the barriers for participation in the call for tenders. Again, our housekeeping rules. So please keep your microphones muted, be ready for your turn, and we have extended the pitching time slot by 1 minute. So each presentation is given 3 minutes time. I will have a timer running on my mobile phone. So when you hear the ringtone, that's the signal to come to an end and to move on to the next presentation. This is our pitching order. I would like to introduce each company at each slide, and we will be starting with Black Space Technology Limited, for which I would like to unmute the respective person. I see that someone from Black Space is in this meeting, but I fear that the person is not connected to the audio. So perfect. Perhaps if you could hear me, try reconnecting to the meeting and check the audio settings. And I would suggest to come back to you at the end of the session. So we will skip the first slides. Sorry for the technical difficulties, and continue with Bahia Software.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, yes, perfect.
Okay, I'm going to start. Hello, my name is Cristobal and I work as a project manager in Bahia Software. We are an ICT SME company from Spain with more than 20 years of activity, and we started working for the health care sector, and nowadays we have expanded our activities to other sectors as well. We have experience developing software platforms, and we also participate in other PCP tenders and Horizon 2020 calls, which allows us to develop innovative solutions for healthcare sector. Related to iProcureSecurity challenges, we have experience in triage and management of non-health related emergencies. As a leader of a potential partnership, we can provide our experience developing PCP projects. We have also expert teams in interoperability in the healthcare systems, which is part of the challenge. And as I said before, we have experience in non-health related emergencies. We have applied satellite and drone imaging in these projects, and we would like also to apply these technologies to address the iProcure PCP challenges as well. Regarding cooperation for this tender, we are interested in cooperation with other entities and open to discuss a potential partnership. For us, it's important that potential partners can help us in accurate overview of casualties and their status, and insights for quality assurance and training measures. Please, next slide. Okay, just to show our previous experience in R&D projects, we developed 2 PCP projects, STAR PCP and anti-superbugs, where we achieved phase 1 and phase 2 in STAR PCP, and we were invited to phase 3 in anti-superbugs. We have also 2 Horizon 2020 projects ongoing, the UTER project and Chameleon. In UTER, we are developing a platform to host single-cell data and omics data, and in Chameleon, we are developing a central repository for clinical data and analytical tools to identify biomarkers by artificial intelligence. And finally, we are also part of the EDEN project. We have been certified by EDEN to harmonize hospital databases using standard data model to foster clinical research. We work with several hospitals of Spain and Portugal. And that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then I would like to give the floor to Smart Health Global Solutions.
Hi to all. Thank you for coming. I am Gabriel Rivas. I am the CEO of Smart Health Global. We can transport a living organ for a transplant over 1,000 miles. We can save the life of a patient in a flight. We do complex things like assisting a patient who is in the middle of a catastrophe, such as a war. However, why is it so difficult to have the necessary patient information at all times? Why does a healthcare professional have to feel more uncertainty than they already feel in a life or death situation? Why have not guaranteed a patient information chain? These are some of the questions we ask ourselves every day at the Smart Health. In order to help save people's lives, of course, taking care of the security and privacy of the data, and guaranteeing that these medical records can be accessed fast and simply. We have already helped outpatient emergency service with our system, with public and private collaboration, and we have achieved success rate close to 100%. Just as we have already helped numerous patients, we would love to help you and your patients to receive faster, safer, and more efficient care. Thanks to our 20 years of experience and the investment we have made in R&D&I, we can extend bio and the automation of sanitary process and the clinical history being interoperable for patient transfer. It could sound like an aspiration, but this is already a fact that we can share with you today that the Smart Health Global is working in the first prototype of the universal clinical history between public and private centers, using blockchain technology, and it will be ready for this summer. We are Smart Health, and we are prepared to be with the health profession who is in the middle of a rescue on a critical patient flight. In short, to be by yours and your patient's side, to have more optimal care and quality and cost. Where we are waiting to save lives. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. And next in the queue is the AIT.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me as well?
Yes.
Great. So hi, my name is Elisabeth Bruneda. I'm working at AIT, Austrian Institute of Technology, and AIT is Austria's largest applied research organization with more than 1,300 employees. And I'm from the Center of Digital Safety and Security. And AIT is working on various technologies, but related on this tender, we could offer especially mixed reality technologies for training paramedics in a very efficient and immersive way. So you could simulate different triage scenarios. Also, we could provide an exercise instructor interface where you can see where all the paramedics are. You could supervise the training, also intervene in the training and evaluate if everything was correct. And this technology could also be used on the other side on-site. So the tracking technology at least, so when the paramedics are going to a victim, and since the paramedics are tracked, also when they type in something into the tablet, the commander, for example, would know where the victims are, and they could type in what injuries they have and how urgent it is to get help to them. And yeah, so we have a lot of experience in mixed reality and computer vision, and we have a lot of experience in research projects and also in coordinating developments. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Very short also. Next in the line is Mario Drovics, also from AIT.
Yes, hello. I hope you can hear me well. My name is Mario Drovic. I'm from a different unit than Elisabeth, who was just presenting, but also from the AIT. I'm from the group of cooperative digital technologies, and we have a strong background in integrating different IT systems in the context of crisis and disaster management. And in that aim, we have developed a public safety hub in our research project, which is intended to provide a resilient backbone for communicating and coordinating the different actors in such situations. And I think it would be especially applicable to coordinate the different first responders in the field, because we have an edge hub that can be deployed on site to exchange information between the different actors, but also between the different sensors, for example, or devices that are in use from the different organizations. But on the other hand side, we also have a backend hub, which can then be used to coordinate with the coordinating sites, providing a standardized interface to the hospitals, for example, and also provide, as was mentioned before, is a requirement, this message buffering. So in case that there is a low quality of service on the mobile, for example, then the messages can be buffered and submitted when the line is available again. The PSH is supporting various communication protocols that are used in this context, but of course can be easily extended to other ones as well. And it's also possible to integrate a translation service so that messages can be translated from one protocol to another. So we are offering our services on the technical level, of course, but we also have experience in coordinating the technical implementation, coordinating requirement analysis. We do a lot of work with the respective stakeholders in these research projects, and I think that could be of value in the context of this tender as well. So if you're interested to collaborate, we are open for collaboration and looking forward to an interesting project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I would like to give the floor to Zulu Medical.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay. So my name is Elettra Ricci, and I'm part of the management board of Zulu Medical SRL. Zulu Medical is an innovative small-medium enterprise founded in 2014 and based in Treviso, near Venice. The company has developed innovative solutions to improve communication in out-of-hospital emergency and home patient management. So having made this brief premise on the company, we can now move on the value that our organization can add to a joint tender. First of all, we have a hardware and software platform for field information collection and sharing to advanced medical station, hospitals, operation centers. Secondly, our platform can assure continuous updated, encrypted, and unalterable data flow. In addition, we can manage the training of personnel for the use of the platform in relation to the various intervention scenarios and related methods. Our platform keeps in memory everything you need, such as procedure, intervention protocols, sanitary, decontamination, and tables chemical compound. So let's move now to the areas of cooperation sought. In the list, we put local system communication in case of no signal and management systems that manage the data received from the rescue site. Let's finish with the iProcureSecurity topics. We are seeking cooperation, so we need decision support for better allocation of available resources and quicker support for casualties, improve interoperability internally and with other first responders and relevant actors, and reduce handover times between ambulance, transport, and hospital. And for the kind of partnership we are open to discuss. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for the interesting pitch. And the next presentation will be held by Highwind.
Yes. Hello, Adrien Ricci. So Highwind is a French startup specialized in the pre-diagnostics of emergency situations for both the populations calling for emergencies or for first responders when they're trying on the field to communicate with the coordination of the crisis. Technology is patented, and the goal is basically through artificial intelligence, we analyze the traumatology of a given situation, the context of the situation, is it like a fire, a car accident, etc. We're able to detect that, and also the emotions of the patients. This allows us to basically create an assessment on the critical level of each patient in order to prioritize through various levels, so green, yellow, red level patients, in order to focus the actions from the very emergency call to the first responders on the field, and the action guided to the most critical patients. Currently, we are of course looking for partners that would be interested to either deploy our full end-to-end solution within the project, or only part of our pre-diagnosis AI modules to be integrated in another larger solutions. Both options are totally fine, and both will give the opportunity for the call centers and emergency crisis decision centers to be able to fully assess what is the situation on the field, what are the situations of the patients, in order to avoid wasting time with the neighbor that sees from a remote location where it's perfectly safe an event, whereas the person that is at the epicenter of the event must be the priority. We're a French startup. You have my coordinate. Looking forward to discuss with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I still have slides from your presentation here.
Those were just backups, just to illustrate. It's okay. We can move to the following.
Thank you. Then next up is iProcureSecurity from Austria.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello, yes, perfectly.
Okay. Hello, my name is Željko Lukic. I'm the sales manager here at iProcureSecurity, and I'm going to give you a quick overview of what our company does, how we do it, and why we do it. Our history shows that we are based in this field from the beginning, starting in developing communication software for aviation. We then evolved in workforce management for hospitals, only to end up with an all-in-one solution when it comes to management of organizational structure, complete planning of all human and non-human resources, management of all educational measures and training courses, and all of this integrated in a central planning tool for hospitals and fire brigades. We are very proud that our product is not just used in Austria, but also in Italy, where we already serve 4 hospitals. We provide the software right now in German, in English, Italian, and Slovenian, but we could or we can easily add other languages on request. Other projects are an inside data terminal for emergency vehicles. Also, we created a safe communication between vehicle and dispatch centers. We were already involved in a similar project for triage management tool here in Graz for several hospital providers, as well as the Styrian Red Cross. We developed a mobile app for a first responder system. We call it the local response app. This app is used by first responders and on-call duty medicals. And a few other little projects in the similar field. And at the end, may a few words about our vision as a company. Being involved in healthcare and rescue services is kind of part of our company's DNA. For us, it's not just business; it is, to say, a matter of heart. And we have a dozen of full stack developers who would love to solve this challenge, and we are sure that our skills stack is an enrichment for this project. So you can see my contact data at the slide. If you need more or detailed information, don't hesitate to get in touch. And well, as I guess I'm running out of time, thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Almost on spot, 6 seconds left. And next, I would like to welcome AT Biotech Traceability Information Systems from Spain.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Good. My name is Aida Gea, and I am the CEO of AT Biotech. AT Biotech is a Spanish company based in Madrid, born in 2013, and we develop traceability solutions for healthcare with a deep insight in the blood sectors. Our products are used in blood establishment, hospitals, and biobanks. We monitor about 17% of all the blood bags in Spain, and our resolution have over 3,000 users. We have competencies in software development, engineering, and systems integration. We are experts in RFID, the leading technologies used in traceability, but we also use Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and 4G technologies. Our products are on-premise and cloud-based. And in terms of market expertise, we have long experience in medical environments, in hospitals, and the application of medical protocols. What we can provide in terms of tender requirements, we can provide expertise in the operation fields, mainly in the following: in the quick and accurate overview of casualties and their status, except in vital signs, however, in decision support for better allocation of available resources and faster support for casualties, and partially in improved interoperability and other first responders and relevant actors. How? Using active or passive RFID technologies as robust local system communications in combination with Wi-Fi and 4G connectivity, and a traceability software platform to register all data related to actions performed in the field. In terms of designing a viable solution for the consortium, we can provide an understanding of the Spanish emergencies and medical environment, as there are 2 of the 11 partners in the consortium from Spain. What we are looking for: a partner able to provide the remainder of topics requested and organization and coordination capabilities, taking the project leadership. So we invite you to contact us to evaluate potential matchmaking, and we will be doing the same. Cheers and have a nice day.
Thank you very much for that kind presentation. Next up is Digital Medica.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hello, yes.
Yes, all right, thank you very much. Well, yes, I am on behalf of Digital Medica. My name is Juan Manuel Jauregui. We are a Spanish startup, and we are very much focused on device connectivity, multi-brand device connectivity, meaning that we can connect to devices used in field for monitoring patients' vital signs. We can do that for different brands. We can put the information on a third-party system that could use it for other users. All right. Besides that, we can also support on synchronic and asynchronic communication for communication among clinicians and patients, and also provide remote visualizations of vital markers and waves. The value that we think that our organization can add to a joint tender would be providing connectivity to monitorization devices to be used on field or during the transportation. We can also provide full disclosure remote monitorization through different visualization tools. And finally, we can also provide access through mobile technology to patient electronic health records. Well, we're basically seeking cooperation on all the different areas that are important and relevant to this project. So we would also like any other organization present here that thinks that we can add value to their proposal to contact us and explore the possibilities. And well, you can see which are the topics that we are seeking cooperation for. Basically all of the topics, and we think that we can provide value on interoperability regarding all the connectivity of different types of devices that might be used in field to assess the health of a patient through different monitorization devices.
Perfect, thank you very much. The next presentation will be held by Rescue Wave by Vomatech Innovations.
Yes, hello. My name is Stefan Heuer from Vomatech Innovations. I'm the CEO. We're a specialized SME from Germany. We are a software and solutions provider for over 20 years for emergency services, fire brigade, corporate security. And in terms of the iProcureSecurity project, we could add value to a joint tender, especially when it comes to the first part of the scenario. Because we have developed a system called Rescue Wave, which is actually a digital triage management system with dedicated triage tags, with on-scene overview and a dedicated mobile app for that purpose. Basically focusing on emergency management processes on site. That's basically also where we seek cooperation and where we can offer communication and information interfaces to connecting systems. What we do not provide so far is basically all the let's say the long-term communication, the interfaces to hospitals, and the integration of like local healthcare systems. That's where we seek cooperation, also in terms of interfaces to AEMCCs and KISS systems. We are seeking cooperation also basically for all the red marked bullet points there. So in terms of interoperability and the relevant processes, also the information flow away from the scene, but also in terms of quality assurance measures and training. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, I would like to give the floor to VR2Go Limited.
Hi everyone, I'm Tzvi Tugulavi, co-founder and the head of R&D at VR2Go from Israel. And we are developing for the last 6 years immersive virtual reality experience using serious gaming on our multiplayer technology on the cloud or locally without internet connection. Our system using highly realistic visuals on Unreal Engine supporting VR and PC devices. We have a team of 10 professionals, including architects, animators, developers, and modelers. We have experience in product implementation overseas and support the success of the product remotely. 10 advantage of using our VR technology and the serious gaming experience is one, the power of fail and experience failing on a mission and learn from it. 2, save the trainers cost and as a human resources and the cost of creating the training environment, also the cost of reordering the scene for the next group. 3, the traveling cost. There's no traveling cost if you do it overseas. 4, the machine learnings to change the environment according to the user interactions. 5, using feedbacks, biofeedbacks like eye tracking, heart rate, and even smells can be integrated. 6, the scene analysis as everything can be recorded from the trainee point of view. 7, real environment, feelings, and learning by doing method, and not just the theory. 8, data analysis of response times and performance of the users. And 9, using virtual accessories acting like in real life. It can be a gun, a defibrillator, or any other tool. And 10, bridging the language gaps, as each one of the users can see the environment, the descriptions, and the text inside the shared environment in his own language. We can create environments without limitations. We can create situations like day, night, winter, summer at the touch of a button. We can make the world really a better place and save lives using VR technology. And thank you very much. And we are looking forward to collaborating with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very intriguing presentation. Next on the list is the ICCS from Greece. Welcome.
Hi, good morning. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone. Good morning. This is Spyros Athanasiadis from ICCS, which is a research institute of National Technical University of Athens. iSense is a research group of ICCS, and it is active in intelligent transportation systems, virtual environments, smart integrated systems, and crisis management and secure societies. Regarding our value of ICCS in this joint tender will be that we're developing prototyping, testing in collaboration with medical emergency and civil protection agencies in France, Italy, Germany, and UK, a digital solution for victims tracking, including a 3D printed digital tag, a mobile application, a database and a data distribution system, and a map-enabled web application. We're experiencing embedded and wearable devices regarding the design and development, the integration of legacy systems, mobile or web application, and interoperable communications and AR applications. We're active in related standardizations, and currently we're chairing a shared workshop agreement on requirements for acquiring digital information from victims during search and rescue operations in the context of Strategy EU project. And also we are coordinating Nightingale and Ingenious to EU funded projects that are focusing in triage solutions. Regarding what ICCS is offering, we're offering a digital triage device for tracking victims and their status with a digital tag, communication, sensor or diagnostic device, and GNSS. Also, we're offering a mobile application, backend services, web application, interoperability framework for collecting and secure sharing data. Mainly, we're seeking cooperation in the decision support for better allocation of available resources and quicker support for casualties, improved interoperability internally and with other first responders and relevant actors, and finally, in science for quality assurance and training measures. And regarding the participations, we're open to discussing. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. And next on the list is Red Management and Consultancy.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Raman Madan. I've been in emergency management for the past 20 years, and within this 20 years, I've been very much involved in training the medical emergency medical services and the crisis management teams of all levels. Now, the thing that I've seen in the past 20 years is that most of the systems that have been developed are always looked from a perspective that we need to solve a solution, where we always forget eventually that the user who is in the field is being swamped by all kinds of tools and all kinds of questions, whereas they're basically focused on trying to save lives and coordinate at the same time. Now, the solutions I do, this is my approach, has always been looking at solutions from, and even the trainings from, the user's perspective. So at the same time, looking at these things, I've developed a software that can be used, that is already functioning, that can be used in the field, but from the perspective of the user. Does solve most of the questions, but it does need improving at the same time. So that's where I'm looking for cooperation. And at the same time, there's a lot of innovation still going on. So I checked all the points in red, because I think even though I have all those points in the software already, they are still there's still room for improvement. So that's basically it in a nutshell. I think there's a lot of things that have been said already by previous people, and I think there's a lot of scope for cooperation. But I'd like to point out that there's still a field of work to be done in augmented reality, artificial intelligence, and getting everything. And I put this in my question as well. Do you want one tool or multiple tools? The question is getting it all done and putting the workload on the people in the field is going to be challenging. So I'm willing to look into that very much so. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A lot of truth inside that. And I would like to give the floor to Tiger Information Technologies from Turkey.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Good afternoon. It's Eda Özceyhan. I'm the Corporate Sales Executive of TIGA Information Technologies. So firstly, I would like to start from who are we? TIGA is a technology provider focusing on dedicated healthcare IT solutions. We provide comprehensive health ecosystems in national scale that connects all the healthcare stakeholders in a country. We're also working closely with academia, and we give importance to industry-academia partnership a lot. So what are the values that our organization can add to a joint tender? We have a deep expertise and know-how, especially in healthcare interoperability, that we gained over a decade in 3 different countries. To give an example, we have developed and still maintaining the national healthcare system of Turkey, which is the core, the backbone system of Turkey that connects all the healthcare facilities, the Central Health Information Exchange Hub. Enabus is another solution. It's also a very well-known personal health record platform that process more than 125 millions of patient and 6.6 billions of health records data. And currently, it also has more than 55 millions of active users. So we want to use our healthcare interoperability expertise in triage by providing a seamless healthcare ecosystem, because we believe it's very crucial in a triage phase. We are providing cloud-based systems, health analytics, and main e-health infrastructure. We're also using international healthcare interoperability standards like FHIR. We have European Union and R&D project experiences. And lastly, for the type of partnership, we're looking for partners, but we are also open to discussions. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And next on the list is Inetum from Spain.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I am Santiago Aso. I am from Inetum. I am solution architect. And Inetum is a large company, a large ICT company with, I will provide some figures of our company. We have a revenue of 2,000 million euros, and we operate in 26 different countries in Europe or outside Europe. And specifically for the health sector here in Spain, we have a revenue of 42 million euros, and we have more than 25 years of experience here operating in Spain. We are providing 4 electronic health records in Spain that covers the 36% of the population of all the Spanish territory. And apart from our experience in electronic health records, we are providing also solutions for critical care. That is one of our offer lines that is part of our health business line. And in this critical care unit or division, we are providing right now all the health information system for the ambulances in 2 territories in Spain, Catalonia and Murcia. And we also are providing all the services for intensive care units in the region, some regions in Spain as well, and all the health information systems that are needed by the intensive care professionals or practitioner or attending patients in the ICUs. And for the needs that or the value that we can provide for this tender is mainly in our expertise or knowledge of all the health information systems in Europe, or to tackle or to handle all the heterogeneity of the information that are flowing between all these systems. And I think that we are a partner that we can provide all this expertise in order for the consortium that we want to create. I think that's all. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So, and last but not least, I will skip back to the very first presentation and ask if the representative of Black Space Technology has managed to join the meeting.
Hi, yes. Sorry for the delay. Stuck on top of the mountain. So my name is David Morgan. I'm the CEO. Can you hear me okay?
With a bit of interruption, but a bit, yeah.
Space Technology. We're a software company based in the UK, hardware agnostic, and we provide triage solutions for the UK military, the French anti-terrorist police, and they've also had military solutions and triage in Germany and Spain. We provide the software that links the end users. What we're looking for is distribution partners and obviously hardware providers. We have extensive experience in working cross countries. All our solution is open architecture, so it's very easy to integrate into third-party systems using FHIR. They're cloud-based services, and so we'd be very happy to speak to any other interested parties in cooperating on this very necessary solution to enhance their health and safety during mass casualty interventions. We've been involved in anti-terrorist operations in France. I think that as we're sticking to one slide, I won't put the second slide up, but we'd be delighted to work with anyone. There you go. This is a case study we did with the French RAID, anti-terrorist police. It was a European MTFA exercise in Disneyland. Involved over 200 responders. And as you can see, the kit is very portable. It's Android based, but also we now have it on iPhone. Very deployable and user friendly, but we're very interested in working with our partners across Europe. Thank you very much, and sorry for the delay.